All right, we're back at the Wacom booth, and I'm speaking with animator Jeremiah Dickey. How you doing, Jeremiah?
Okay, how are you?
Not too bad. We were just talking a second ago about the fact that you have transitioned from traditional to digital very recently. How has that been?
It's been a process. I do hand-drawn animation, so I've worked on paper and kind of purposefully held back from there's many options for working digitally, doing traditional animation, but I'm very stubborn and I like to work the way that I like to work, and I'm actually very efficient and proficient in that with that kind of a workflow. And I've recently been convinced by TV Paint, this great software I'm here demoing at the conference, that I can work in a way that I enjoy digitally.
Right. TV Paint, it used to be called Harmony, no, Mirage. It used to be called Mirage.
Yes.
And so this is a French company, a small French company that makes this animation software. So you learned to draw traditionally, you learned to animate traditionally. Did you have any kind of heroes growing up, sort of animation hero, like Bob Clampett, or were you watching Warner Brothers stuff, or Disney, or Ren and Stimpy? Like, what was your animation pedigree?
Well, all those things, the older classic Disney stuff. Right. I mean, that's like Shakespeare to animators. Right. In terms of personal heroes, I'd probably have to say Richard Williams, who recently passed away, but has left the world this wealth of knowledge that was collected by him by the very animators that worked on the old Disney and Warner Brothers cartoons. So he's really helped spread this knowledge in his own work as well.
Did you take anything, because again, as we say, you have these sort of heroes and you have this style, you came up through the traditional means. Are there any people that you see who, for instance, like I remember seeing a video of Glenn Keane drawing a horse and just doing it by hand and then doing it on a Cintiq, and he managed to just seamlessly do it. Like, is there a sense of, now that the technology is at this point where there's so many levels of pressure sensitivity and responsiveness, does it feel like that gap has kind of been bridged since the early days of digital, that was kind of a little bit difficult for some people to make that jump?
Yeah, I think so. It's essentially everything you do on a tablet is essentially a simulation of something you would use a real tool to do, even if it's just chalk on concrete or something. So, I think it's just another tool, and that,
It's more about the work than the tool itself.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you something. Artists and animators who are just working for hours on end on projects. They'll work on a screen, and sometimes, they're in, especially if it's like hot, their hand will sweat on the screen. Do you ever have that problem?
Yes, frequently.
Yeah. Okay, so I just got one of these from Amazon, and I got my Power Glove, and it's basically it's like a felt glove with the fingers cut out, and it doesn't like slip around on the screen, right? But it stops your hand from like sweating on the screen and leaving all the marks and like dragging across the screen. Have you ever used one of these?
I have not. How does it work with blood and tears?
No.
Fine, but it's the blood and the tears that are often the problem, that you don't hear about.
You have to dry clean the sweat, and I think blood and tears is fine. You can just machine wash for those. Yeah, this was a game changer for me, and it was an animator who told me about it. Okay. Someone who was working at a animation studio, and this is one of my like best tips to anyone using any digital. I know that it's only recent that you transitioned to digital, but are there any tips that you've learned that you would share with other artists?
For working digitally, or
or overall, like as far as like the ethos that you have, your approach to your work, your process, like the mindset for keeping to deadline and things like that.
This wasn't on the pre-arranged questions. I'm sorry. I would say,
it's difficult.
It's hard. It's hard not to just the same old cliches. But if you're lucky enough to be working in a medium that you love and you truly feel you're expressing yourself with, it's the work becomes a joy, and it's it's especially with animation. There's so much work that goes into it. It's a very tedious, labor-intensive medium. You kind of have to love it in order to do it. So any hurdles you can remove from getting to the final product that you're really happy with, I think that you should try to do, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And advice. All right. Well, if you want to see Jeremiah, you can come by the Wacom booth at New York Comic Con, and you can follow @TinSimeon on Instagram. Come by and watch him using the software live on it's a Cintiq. It's one of the big ones, isn't it?
It's one of the big ones.
One of the big ones. All right. Thank you for your time, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Have a good con.
Cheers.
Cheers.